Writer's Corner is made possible thanks to the following sponsors. Jaime's Haberdashery of St. Paul has become an anchor of the downtown business community. A modern store with classic decor, it provides everything in clothing, both custom and tailored, plus offers a huge selection for both men and women. There is now also a Jaime's in Red Wing. Calumet Editions, an eclectic publisher of fiction, nonfiction, and poetry, introduced a new business model nearly a decade ago, in which the publisher and author work as equal partners in a joint venture. Their stable of authors have won numerous and prestigious prizes across literary forums. Where traditional publishers fail to see the value in projects, Calumet cooperates with its authors in realizing a book's potential.
And welcome. Writer's Corner returns. Alan Miller with you. And we have two very prestigious guests today. Susan Thurston, who is sitting to my left, and Carla Hagen to my right. And I'll just read a little bit of the background of these ladies. They are awesome writers. And Susan, who wrote A Sister of Grendel, which is derived from the ancient tale of Beowulf, giving Grendel a sister, Rhodotis.
Rhodotis. Yes.
And she won the Midwest Independent Publishers Association Award. She writes about the Middle Ages and magic powers there, but she also has created a book, Cooking Up a Good Life.
Yes, yes.
Which somehow doesn't jive with the Middle Ages so well.
No. Well, and my other fiction doesn't have anything to do with the Middle Ages or my poetry, so.
And Carla Hagen, who rescued me the first time I came to a writers' conference and led me around by the nose, which is easy to do. Carla is an author, but she's also a poet. She's also an attorney. I don't know what else. She may be a restaurateur for all I know.
A swimmer.
A swimmer.
Yes.
And she has many different talents. Is the author of Muskeg, which is what, your second book, third book?
It's my second novel, yes.
Your second novel. And she wrote Hand Me Down My Walking Cane in 2012. It was a winner of the also the Midwest Independent Publishers Award, Best Literary Fiction and Best Historical Fiction. And she's working on her third in the trilogy. She also hosts a Latin music show, radio show, which I don't know where that fits into your life. But
shall I answer that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it is a response to the many years I lived in Mexico and to the fact that my first career was in languages, in French and Spanish, and I did many years of graduate work in Latin American literature and linguistics and Latin and Texas Mexican folklore. And so when I finally came back to Minnesota after spending all my 20s really in Mexico and in Austin, Texas, I found my way to KFAI, and I've been doing a Latin radio show, a Latin music show, so it's not a news show, on and off since 1982. And I do that with Eve McLeish, who's amazing.
So that's got some legs to it.
Yes,
it
definitely.
Certainly does. Now, both of you write in areas that are completely foreign to me. I try to find something that's contemporary, that's either in the public eye or is going to be coming into the public eye, and create a novel around it. You both delve into historical realms. Why don't you talk and tell us where you got your inspiration from? Let's start with Susan.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, Alan, for having us here. It's a real treat. So, you know, this is my first published novel. I have written a lot of other fiction as well as poetry as well, but the nugget that it was born out of started in undergrad school, and I had an amazing instructor who had the medieval and old literature course. So in reading Beowulf at that point in time, I definitely sided with Grendel, the monster, and his mother, and that just kind of always stayed around. And then fast forward decades and decades, the story kept working on me, and then the voice or the character of Risota's, that my creation of a sister in that story realm started basically, and Carla and I were at an event on Tuesday where I talked about how, I started to hear her voice, which doesn't happen all the time in fiction, but it was definitely this entity, this particularly very vivid character came to life. And then to make it, well, I don't know if it makes it more believable, but what I ended up doing was she lives beyond that particular epic, so her life goes beyond the end and demise of Grendel, and she lives through many other eras, and I got to tell her story in that way, up to a 1930s more contemporary setting as well. So it involved more research, but that's how that all...
And where's the next one going?
Well, there are lots of backstories and characters that came forward in the making of Sister of Grendel that each of them could certainly support a book, but I'm working on now, it's the working title is The Missing Season, which is a coming-of-age Vietnam-era small Minnesota town with a cast of characters. So I'll be in the more contemporary world for the next one.
A muskeg. Where did the inspiration for that come from? And take us through the,
I will. Muskeg is second in a series that began with Hand Me Down My Walking Cane. That was the initial book. I love it, by the way, when Susan says more contemporary in the 30s. My books are set in the 1930s, and although they are at least in the 20th century, but I've certainly had to do a lot of research and a lot of digging to make sure that my settings are authentic. Hand Me Down My Walking Cane is a fictionalized account of a real relocation that took place in Lake of the Woods County during the Depression by the Resettlement Administration, later called the Farm Security Administration. They were the people who hired photographers to document the poverty and the difficulties in the United States in order to persuade Congress to allot money, largely to farmers, because they were the ones who were really in trouble. So in my home county of Lake of the Woods, there was a relocation of farmers who did not live in a dust bowl. The terrain there is water and peat bog, which we call muskeg, and forest. But they were eking along in existence. They gardened, they shot deer, they caught fish, and they had little towns that were not governed by anybody, and they were very happy with that arrangement. And so when the government came in and said they were going to rescue them from their rural poverty, as they called it, they did not like that.
And they didn't want to be rescued.
They did not want to be rescued, no. Yeah, but they were, nonetheless, they were moved. And that move, there were a lot of little hamlets. I focused on one, was legend in my home county. And the people that had come out of it would tell the stories, and it left a bitter taste in the mouths of the people who had been relocated. And I remember seeing a poster that the Resettlement Administration had used for propaganda purposes, and it was supposed to depict the people in these really very lovely little hamlets. I mean, they weren't rich by any means, but they were forested and quite lovely.
Now, Susan stepped back to Beowulf.
She did.
Where did your characters come from?
Ooh, where did my characters come from? Well, they came from, I think, first of all, the stories about that relocation came from people that I listened to growing up. I was always really intent on listening to people's stories, and I also was intrigued by the way they said the things they did. I'm a language person, and so I would listen both for the story and for the way they told the story. I also went to different picnics at the site of this relocation, which had become a forest, with my mother, and would wander away and see the remains of homesteads, which greatly intrigued me. But in terms of the characters, I had to invent them. I did not want people in my hometown to say, oh, there's so-and-so, and there's my uncle. So I invented them. The first character that came to me was a woman called Sadie, who is French-Canadian, and part French, part Anishinaabe, and grew up very rough and was orphaned at an early age, and she had a very strong, clear, profane voice, and she spoke to me.
But based on people that you
No, based on nobody. I mean, I suppose, well, let me amend that. She wasn't really based on anyone. However, what I will say is that, nor were any of my characters, but I think here's where my obsession with the way people said things came in to these characters. The way Sadie talks, I heard my aunts talk, the way Magnus, another character, talks, I heard my father, so I was channeling kind of the rough, rural talk from the people that I grew up with.
Now, you two have become somewhat of a tag team. And it's interesting. I didn't know that when I booked both of you for the program.
I thought he did.
But
I did too.
but you have done, in fact, as recently as last Tuesday, was it?
On Tuesday, we
Yes.
were at
You
Subtext
had,
Bookstore.
what was that, a reading session, a speaking session?
Reading and
It was both.
conversation. Yeah.
Yes. I actually read from Susan's book, she read from my book, and then we talked about world building, some of the things we're talking about now, about landscape as character, and a number of other things.
And little did I know when I put you together for this that
Well, and we were at a book festival,
Yeah.
art festival together.
Yeah,
when
right.
That's right.
We're
Yep.
together too.
and how do you find those book festivals? Do you find them worthwhile in terms of being a writer?
I think it's important for us to be present in our communities and meeting people. I don't know if it's not about the sales that happen at those events, but I always find it rewarding to network and talk with other writers, meet the other individuals that are a part of the publishing scene in the Minnesota area, and get some inspiration and energy in that respect. And then if it's even one or two good conversations with a reader who loves whatever I've written, or they're interested in it, and then they, by word of mouth, take that to their circles of readers as well.
Do you find that when you sell a book, somebody has read it, do you get feedback after that person has read it?
I do occasionally. I get a lot from people from my hometown who, of course, at least know the area, as they quote the Music Man or paraphrase the Music Man. And yes, sometimes I do. People have written to me. I remember when the first book came out, I got some fan mail, if you will, from a book group in Maine, which was lovely.
It's great.
So yes, I do sometimes.
Because
And
that came as a big surprise to me, that
What, the feedback?
people would take the time after they read it to at least find out how they can contact you and get in touch with you, and
I
that's
push-
kind of
I'll even-
rewarding.
It's very rewarding, and to see some of the reviews, and I know wherever we speak or when we read, it's always an emphasis of, that review on Goodreads or your social media carries a lot of weight.
Yes,
and
it
I do
does.
some stealth marketing. I love the little free libraries, and I'll leave behind a copy, and in there I'll just let people know that I love joining. Now we can do these virtually, book clubs or a class, or to by all means put something on social media if you like it. You don't encourage.
that's a
And if you
wonderful
don't
idea.
like it, forget it.
Right, exactly.
Now, you both have, several volumes of novels. How long does it take you to write a novel, each of you? Is there a time?
Depends on when you start the clock.
It depends on all kinds of things.
Yeah.
My first book took me about 10 years, but that was because I wrote draft after draft after draft, and it just took me a long time. I think that,
Would you go from beginning to end, or how? What's your drafting, editing process?
well, my drafting process is that I start out with characters, and place, because place is really important to me, and I'm kind of saturated with, especially coming from a remote and beautiful part of the country like I do. I start with the characters and I have a grain of a story, and it sort of develops as I go. I have a writer friend who discusses this, and she said that is the gardening form of writing, whereas someone who has everything plotted out as a mystery, which you might do, Alan, is more of an architect. They have to know exactly where they're going. I don't always know where I'm going. There are things I know, but there are other things I don't know, and ultimately things change along the way.
Yeah, for me, I know where I start, and often I think I know exactly how it's going to open, and often that will end up being somewhere else in the work. And then I generally want to know where I want it to end. And the surprises will happen all along the route. Again, I'm much more a character-driven writer. Plot is a structure, but it's not the driver, it's not the engine, it's what happens
I
to
agree.
the characters and the relationships.
So you're both pretty much character-driven.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's it's what I read for as well.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah, if a character is two-dimensional, I just lose interest really fast.
Now, talking about publishers, there are so many publishers out there. We have a sponsor here. It happens, Calumet, which also, Calumet Editions also publishes me, has published both of you.
Yes.
Why do you choose a boutique publisher as opposed to, stepping out further?
Oh, I can totally speak to that. With Handmade on My Walking Cane, I tried shopping it to agents for a very long time. Maybe not as aggressively as I could have, but I tried some, as they say, over the transom submissions. Yeah, Handmade on My Walking Cane is the first one in this series. And none were successful, and so I ended up publishing the first version of Handmade on My Walking Cane, the first edition. This is a second edition, with a little press called North Star Press. It's located near St. Cloud, and has kind of shrunk since then because Corinne, who is the matriarch of the place, and Seal, her daughter, are no longer there. But they published, and I knew going in, they were a small publisher as well, a slightly different format than Calumet, but I knew going in that I wasn't going to get a lot of editing, that they couldn't do that, and that I had to be as prepared as possible and probably do my own publicity. So I was, I think, fairly clear-eyed when I went in. I wanted, as I was saying in the break, I wanted to get my stories out there, and I still do. I want my stories in the world.
And
however that works.
Publicity is really hard.
Publicity is hard. I had help. I hired my friend Ella Carlson, who's amazing, who now is part of a two-woman marketing firm. They did the covers of both the reissued Handmade on My Walking Cane and Muskeg, and they've been an enormous help to me, and I don't know what I could have done without them.
And Susan?
Well, Sister of Grundle's journey was different. I do have an agent, and had so many near contracts and was excited, and at that point in time, and this is many years ago already, publishing itself was changing, and there were multiple traditional publishers, commercial publishers, and they were being eaten up, and now there's basically the big five. And at that point, and it was one of the last pitches that Diana Finch, my agent, had made to one of the more commercial publishers, and she was a solid editor and had a number of good, bestsellers under her belt, and came back to Diana and said, I love this and would love to work with it, but I'm afraid that it will languish in mid-list hell. These things get emblazoned in your memory, and I was like, I'm fine with mid-list. But she said, well, but if it does well independently or with an ebook issue, maybe you will be able to then pick it up later. So that was the tactic.
And yet you
that
both
took.
won awards.
Right, and so,
prestigious awards.
Well, and the other reality with publishing, even the traditional ones,
didn't beat down your doors.
Well, but the thing is, in traditional publishing, we know the stories of writers with the huge names who don't get very much publicity work anymore either. So it's a very even field, so to speak.
I agree with that. And I've had friends who have published with big publishing houses only to find that they have what's called an orphan book. It's a beautiful book, it's a gorgeous edition, but it's just kind of, oof,
Or an
abandoned.
editor leaves.
Or an editor leaves, exactly. Yeah.
So it's
And of course, everybody is a writer today, and everybody can be a writer if you really put your mind
Which
to
is
it.
wonderful.
But everybody is. There's a construction project near my home, and there are about a dozen men up there on ladders, and I yelled up, "Anybody here written a book?" 12 hands went up. So, I mean,
amazing.
that's,
Yeah. Good, good. Well, we need to share our stories. I think
Oh, I
that's-
absolutely agree.
Yeah, that's the beauty of shared risk, boutique, however you want to describe the emerging element and economy of book publishing, and
The
being able to
editing.
publish it electronically
That's
makes
true.
it really
the editing is very important.
Yes.
The editing is
obviously.
very important.
Right.
The line editing, I didn't even know when I started to write. I mean, I had on my bucket list, I want to write a novel before I pack it in. And one led to another, and I've written all my life, but this was a whole different experience.
Yeah.
Editing, line editing,
Yeah.
talk to that for a moment.
Oh, a good line editor is worth their weight in platinum,
I love
titanium,
line
whatever,
editing.
whatever rare
That's
mineral.
true. I love it. I do it for relaxation.
Just-
But I miss
okay.
things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you find I cannot edit my own work because my brain will want and fill in where it needs to. So, do you read? Edit
I
your own, or-
do line edit my books. However, they definitely need someone to go over them afterwards because I may fill in too. But it's part of my nerdy brain that loves languages that
And
I
you're
really.
an attorney.
And I'm an attorney.
Trained.
So I really like line editing. It cools my brain. As to the big picture editing, forget it. I need a lot of help with that. That's much harder for
I
me.
think we all find that we do. Now, you mentioned as an attorney. I find that as a former attorney, that researching, which is very important to me, and I guess it's important to all of us, has really been helped by my experience in law school. I really spend a lot of time researching. In fact, with my new book, which is over my shoulder someplace, I then took a field trip to North Dakota to make sure that everything I was
had it
talking
right.
about was accurate.
Yes.
And that is so important. So.
And my roots are in journalism, and it's much the same, where you have to research the subject and know the material and have the data, and accuracy is so important.
That's very true. For me, it's kind of like getting ready for a trial. Since I was a courtroom attorney, I didn't do many briefs and things like that. I did when I had to, but yeah, you have to know your case inside and out and kind of find the essence of it, and then somehow give that essence, in my case, to a jury in the old days, and now to an audience. But yeah, research is key.
I love that metaphor. That's the jury. And we need, I think all of us would agree too, we're very, because of that kind of grounding and that background, the world is at our fingertips with,
Yes.
you can Google things, but you need to, and we are, very good at understanding what's a solid source and what's one that isn't a
That's
good source.
absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Google is very helpful. Social media, stay away from
Exactly.
as far as you can, in my estimation.
For research, definitely. For announcing and publicizing events, I think it's very useful. I certainly find it that way. But
That's
yeah,
like
for research, no. I mean, it's
The social
Yeah.
media is the soapbox and the
Yeah.
town
right. Town
kiosk.
square, yes.
Yeah.
And how do you find working with a boutique publisher? It's so different than
Yeah. Well, from everything I've heard of traditional writers would say, they, the manuscript is turned in and they don't have anything to say about what the cover looks like, or some of those other aspects where I think is an attribute for boutique publishing, where you do get to work with the people, and they're not happy with the cover until the writer is happy with the cover, or you have a little more say.
I love that. I feel very free working with Calumet. I had a real vision for, well, that was helped out by my friends Kelly and Ellen, their marketing firm, for the covers. But I'm not a visual artist. Anyway, they were amazing, and Calumet was incredibly understanding and loved the covers and gave me more ideas. And so I do like it. I feel like I have accountability, but I also have a great deal of freedom.
So you have an agent and you have a publicist.
Yes.
And I have a publicist. I don't have an agent. The agent, very active in terms of getting you at least into the front door of publishers.
She was early on, and not as much recently, primarily because she's doing a staged retirement as well, so she was dialing things down as well. But I really felt blessed to have that relationship, because at that point in time she was that editor agent where I pitched the whole list of the books that I had, and she keyed in and wanted to know about this, and she opened herself up and invited having me send progress as I was making my way through it. So I think that helped keep the book moving forward.
And the publicist got you out there.
Got me out there in ways that I couldn't have seen. I'm by nature an extrovert, so I don't mind talking in front of people and putting myself out there, but I just simply didn't really know how to do it. And they built a website for me twice, actually. So there have been invaluable things.
Very important.
Yes.
Well, and I bet those are things that you know are important, but it's not necessarily something you want to do for yourself.
No, I don't. I mean, I could probably do it, but I think it would take me a lot of time. I'm certainly not a technophobe, but yeah, I'm happy I had help.
And as time is fleeting here, are you both on Facebook?
Yes.
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 And Threads, and I'll say it softly, X, whatever it's called, and LinkedIn. And
I'm on LinkedIn and X, and not on the second thing you mentioned, but I'm on Instagram. Yes.
I'm not Facebook only, but
and I like emails.
I do too.
I'll answer
email
them.
too.
Yeah,
Yep.
write us.
We've been talking with Susan Thurston and Carla Hagen, two of our finest local artists and writers, and writers are artists, by the way. And I
Thank
really
you.
thank you both for coming in here.
Thank you,
It's been a
Alan.
pleasure, and it's been a pleasure not only listening to you, but reading you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Back at you.
I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate inviting us.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Good to be here.
Yes.
Okay.